Everyone says that the accident isn't their fault. It's the most commonly used excuse once an accident has occurred, even though it's usually just a lie. Here are 28 times the accident really wasn't your fault. Thanks, Jack Golding. We're glad you stumbled upon our channel. Make sure to share some of these videos with your friends. And big thanks to you, bro. Number 28. Not quite strong enough. Obviously, the load being carried around here is too heavy for the forklift trying to lift it. This is one of those times where the accident wasn't your fault. You could have checked the max lift limit for the vehicle before you got started, but ain't nobody got time for that. Number 27. Didn't hear the train coming. Regardless of how this car failed to hear a huge train coming, they ended up getting smashed as a result. Even though this picture might tell a different tale, we would like to believe that this accident wasn't the car's fault. Who puts a train on tracks running through the roads anyways? What foolishness. Number 26. Not your fault. Clearly, the man pictured here is having a dilemma. We won't ever find out what's in the trailer, but this accident wasn't his fault. How would he know that the cement would simply crumble around his trailer while he was driving? Asphalt and cement? Don't do that. Number 25. A different type of accident, equally funny. This is definitely an accident. A messy one at that. Since we're assuming this lady doesn't go around doing number 2 in public, the poop covering her car here is of an avian type. Maybe this isn't the sort of accident you're looking for, but it's still an accident all the same. Number 24. One way, either way. How could you ever get in trouble with this sign regardless of which direction you choose to take? No cop could pull you over after passing the sign you see posted in this picture, because whichever way you choose, you're still going that one way. If there were an accident after someone saw this sign, it wouldn't be their fault. Well, if the accident pertained to the sign and didn't involve something else, that is. Number 23. Covered in mud. As you can see, these ladies are in for a very wet walk. Clearly, the truck is the accident causer in this situation, and the ladies aren't to blame. We just hope for their sakes that they're headed to the beach instead of coming back, because they're going to need a place to wash off. Number 22. Who put the stairs there? This accident wasn't this car's fault. Obviously, whoever put a random staircase in the middle of the road is to blame. The car here may not be the one to blame in this instance, but we still think that it's now seen the best of its days. Number 21. This isn't your fault either. Unless the person in that vehicle royally pissed off the elephant you see here, they're not to blame for this accident. Elephants can be very territorial, and since this car was in the wrong place at the wrong time, they ended up in an accident. Number 20. He took my spot. The accident you see here isn't your fault either. If another guy's car wasn't parked in your spot in your garage, you would have fit in the space no problem, and there wouldn't have been an accident. So the other car is to blame for this unfortunate mishap. Number 19. That doesn't belong here. It's clear from this image that the two crashed cars aren't to blame for this accident. If there wasn't a huge truck laying in the middle of the road, then they would have been able to continue without any kind of issue. They would have also slowed to a stop, but hey, some people like to wreak havoc. Number 18. Whoever stacked this. While nothing has happened yet, as far as we can tell, this is just an accident waiting to happen. Whoever gets hurt by this pallet of bricks won't be at fault unless it was the bozo who stacked them like this to begin with. Whoever did this is definitely the one to blame. Number 17. Transporting a giant rock. When the truck driver agreed to transport this haul, he didn't bank on it causing him an accident. Even though he didn't think he had to plan for such a thing, the giant stone you see pictured here still just about flattened the cab of his truck. Number 16. Carrying your baggage with you. If this guy gets into an accident, you might be inclined to believe that he was at fault because of his package. What you don't know is that the enormous object in front of him is simply the baggage he's carrying from his past relationships. It turns out that some stuff is harder to let go of, so it's not his fault. It's the evil woman who turned him into the foolish man you see here. Number 15. Accident waiting to happen. Well, this guy's in for a serious punch to the face. Obviously, the man who's about to get hit isn't at fault for this one. No. This accident was caused by his idiot friend that just cost him a few teeth. Choose your friends wisely, or they'll just throw stuff at your face. Number 14. Wide load. Just like the poor forklift in number 28, this vehicle just isn't strong enough to carry the load. It's not the truck or the driver's fault, it's the stinking logs. If they weren't so darn heavy, there wouldn't have been an accident to show you. It's obvious, however, that these workers need to get some new equipment that can actually help them complete their job. Number 13. Falling from the sky. The car accident you see here clearly isn't the car's fault. Who knew that there would be a day where cacti fell from the sky? But as you can see, it has finally come. Unfortunately, the owner did have to foot the bill to get the cactus removed, which by judging by the size of the thing, couldn't have been cheap. Number 12. Your boss's fault. The about-to-be accident you see here is solely the fault of this person's manager. Haven't you noticed that no matter how hard you work, it's never enough and the job's never done? Just like those memes say, if the world were buried underneath 16 feet of snow, your manager would still be calling you asking if we were going to make it in today. Like, have you seen the snow? The hard worker in this picture is going through the same kind of thing. Even though they haven't had an accident yet, when the time comes, the manager's fault because of the extremes they want you to go to just to keep your minimum wage job. Number 11. It's this guy's fault. If there's an accident anywhere near this guy, it's his fault. The canisters he's toting around may be empty, but if they aren't, you're looking at a daredevil or an idiot. And we're leaning more towards the latter one. Although the majority of this video is made up of accidents that weren't these people's fault, any accident that this person may have caused was entirely his fault. It's like smoking next to gasoline. Just don't do it, stupid. Number 10. Didn't read the sign. Even though this looks like a pretty bad accident, the truck driver of this massive vehicle isn't at fault for the mess you see here. It's the sign's fault. If it hadn't been so low-hanging to the road, the truck would have been able to drive right under it and not have had a problem. However, it was low-hanging and it caught the poor truck unaware. This was one of those signs that didn't have a height requirement posted right on it, so the truck driver had no way of knowing how tall the sign was. Number 9. Motherhood at its finest. Unfortunately, there are hundreds of images online that showcase motherhood at its finest. Just like the scene going on in this picture, which shows just how good of a mother this woman is. If this truck gets into an accident, it won't be the kid's fault, it'll be the mom's. We just have to say that if we had to choose between this mom and the dad in the next shot, we would go live with the dad every day of the week. Mom just doesn't seem to have our best interests at heart. Number 8. Dad's fault. This accident about to happen was clearly dad's fault. Your mom may have told him to take it slow and that your toy car couldn't really go off-roading, yet he decided to go extremely fast anyways. At least after the accident happens, mom will know just who to blame. This is why dads aren't allowed to watch the kids by themselves. Number 7. You weren't designed for this. The fact that this poor limo can't seem to make it over the slope in this road doesn't mean that this accident is its fault. The blame lies with the person who designed this limo in the first place. It wasn't designed to go over slopes that steep, and since the designers failed to foresee things like this happening, this accident occurred. Number 6. Following directions. Although some might think differently, we think that this car isn't responsible for this accident. The person who put up the sign is. The people in the car obviously took the words very literally, but they were just following directions, and isn't that what the teacher always says to do? So, really, who's in the wrong here? Number 5. Taking a break. Some might think that this donkey is just taking a break, but we can see that there's clearly been an accident. When stacking cargo for transportation, it's generally helpful if you make sure the load is lighter than the thing carrying it, or else you might end up with a situation like this. Totally not the donkey's fault, but an accident nonetheless. Number 4. Timber! We sure hope that the owner of this car wasn't in their vehicle at the time, or else they would have been made into a pancake. This is another one of those moments where the accident wasn't your fault. How could you have known that the tree was going to fall? If you had known, you would have probably found a different place to park anyways. Number 3. Stupid Mother Nature. Although the picture here shows a very minor accident, it's still an accident nonetheless. Just like the others, this accident wasn't caused by the man shown here, nor was it his fault that he fell. If Mother Nature wasn't so darn finicky, there wouldn't have been ice on the ground for him to slip on in the first place. Number 2. The joy of being a parent. According to most parents out in the world, the joy of having and raising a child is one that is simply unmatched. Even though the job for the most part is a good one, there are times when being a parent is more work than it might be worth. Just like the accident going on in this photo. While not one of the shiniest moments of parental history, this accident can't be blamed on either of these two. It's obviously not the dad's fault. He didn't even know what was going on until it was too late to turn back, and the baby just doesn't know any better. Number 1. When turtles fall from the sky. When turtles start falling from the sky and smashing your car windshield, the world's gone mad. But the accident is still not your fault. How are you supposed to know that creatures would be thrown into the front of your car? You were driving on the road, for Pete's sake.
Are we rolling? Like and subscribe to my channel.
For better.